Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Nest for Volleyball, our second edition for the 2020-2021 year. My name is Jalen Ellison, and I'm once again joined by seventh-year head volleyball coach Carolyn Raynes. Coach, thank you for being here.
Of course. I'm excited to talk again.
Well, Coach, you are one of three teams that's right in the middle of what we call the high-risk period. I think you're about 2/3 of the way through that. Can you tell us how that's going? You know, as a team, what I've noticed is every team is doing something a little differently. So what are you guys doing during this period? Are there areas of the game you're focusing on, or just, let's get out and play and kind of get the rust off?
All of it. I'm trying to get as much in as I can. First and foremost, I do want to thank both Tom and Joe Garcia for giving us the opportunity to have these weeks. Originally, we're going to be able to have two, which even with that, I know the testing is expensive, but us getting 3 weeks, it's going to make a huge difference in what we're able to get done. So I'm super thankful that we have this opportunity to get in the gym and have a little bit of normalcy with our sport. So what we did is we kind of just scheduled each week has a couple focuses, and then every practice will end with gameplay. So Zach and I are getting the breakdown stuff done that we know we need to, but we're also giving them what they want, which is they just want to play. So it's been good. The nice thing about doing it that way is we're still able to be masked and keep a lot of the social distancing guidelines during the beginning of our practice. And then when we're in gameplay, they're back and forth pretty quickly. So we're still trying to keep them in as safe as an environment as we possibly can. Fingers crossed, we've done a good enough job because, like you said, we're about halfway through. So it's been good. This week we're really working on hitter-setter connection and blocking, which they enjoy that, and it's been really beneficial for all of them. So it's been good.
I think that's one of the key pieces is like the high risk period. It's not all or nothing, so you get a little bit more freedom, but it's not just gung-ho, everybody take their masks off and do whatever you want. I think that's sometimes the confusing part is there is a concentrated effort to make sure continuing to do those things when we can, but still giving them the opportunity to play. So you talked a little bit about your setter hitters connection, and I want to talk about your hitters. You are pretty veteran on the attacking positions, where you necessarily were not last year. Had a lot of underclassmen, even with a large senior class last year. They were pretty inexperienced as a whole, just because of the senior class that came before them had been starting basically since they stepped on campus. And but even with a large freshman class, very experienced on the outside, Peyton Hardison and Tori Vogt, Maddie Wingard on the right, and then Elizabeth Quinn and Lacey Albers in the middle. I'm sure I'm missing others, Grace Bockham, people like that. But talk a little bit about your hitters and the experience that you have, and does that change anything for you in practices, or is it just kind of same old, continue on?
The one thing it does change is we're able to kind of jump in to where we've been and go from there. I trust all of the kids in all of those positions that have experience to help guide those younger players that are in those positions now. So we got 5 outsides, 3 of them are juniors and seniors. And it's been really cool because the 2 underclassmen they have such great people to follow. And they've created this kind of bond within those 5, and it's been really fun to see. And Peyton's looking really good this year. She's solid in service, even defense. I feel like she's got a little bit more heat behind her swing, but she also has like the junior mindset of like being old and mature and being able to make good decisions. I'd say the same thing about Grace and Tori. We sometimes joke with Tori because she'll like make this like really cool little shot, and it's like, that's an old lady thing. Like, you knew to do that because you've been around for a while. And Grace is still bringing such great energy and leadership. And you can tell that her teammates just like love to be around her. And that's a huge thing to have in a junior. And then obviously in the middle, we have 2 seniors. And that's been really fun to see them grow with Jory, the underclassmen. And again, like they just seem really hungry and excited to be here, trying to stay healthy. But, it's hard to be in a practice with 3 middles because somebody is always going and they don't get very many breaks. And thankfully, those 2 upperclassmen have had that opportunity, both Quinn and Lacey, in the past. And they just know, like, we just go and we grind. That's what we do. And then again, on the right side, we have kind of a perfect little setup of kids in every class. You got Maddie, you got Lily, and you got Haley. All 3 of them have been in our program already. So they're just focusing on increasing the little areas that they know they need to work on. And Maddie's been doing such a good job as a leader. But both Lily and Haley are really pushing in that position. And it's so competitive. And that's what I love about it, is like they all do something else really, really well. So yeah, it's good. And, the one thing I think I talked about last time was having those seniors for a whole year. And that makes that impact even bigger. So they're getting the opportunity to help those underclassmen in those positions, but it's not going to end at the end of the fall like it normally does. Like, we get to go and actually play a season and see how much leadership really did pay off.
Definitely great senior class, and we'll talk a little bit more about them here in just a moment. But I want to shift a little bit to two really important positions on the floor. Obviously they all are, but two very key points at libero and setter. They are the two positions where you are going to have some new people. Lauren Castaneda and Megan Rule kind of tag teamed the setter position last year as seniors, and then Kennedy Ruck, also a senior last year at libero, and then Olivia Tolber the previous 4 years. So we've had a lot of consistency in those two positions the last several years, and now it will be someone new. You got Hannah Cope, a sophomore, and Harper Almond as a junior, and now Megan Schneider is a freshman there, all competing for that setter position. And then very young at the defensive position with Hayden Body is as old as it gets, sophomore. And then two freshmen, Casey and Jordan, coming in. Can you talk a little bit about that competition? And maybe is there competition happening right now, or is it just really focusing on player development and connections, and then we'll see where we are in the spring?
Oh, there's competition for sure, specifically in the setter position. And it's been so much fun to watch them. All three of them, again, a little bit different in their game, but like uber competitive, all three of them. And like running on the court for the drill, like it's Harper's thing. She wants to always be the first setter. And so she's like, come on, somebody, let's go. Like, I want to race you to the court. So that's just kind of the attitude that they've always had. So it's been great. Yesterday we did like some setter breakdown stuff, and we put these like catch-ups up, and they have to set into the target. And literally I'm just tossing balls and counting how many I'm giving them, and they're over there like competing with how many they can make in. So that's just the environment that they have as a group together. So it's going to be really fun. We've kind of been bouncing between a 5-1 and a 6-2. I don't think we'll make that decision until we get to the spring. So in practice situations, typically what we do is we give one kid an opportunity to run a 5-1, and the other two are on the other side running a 6-2. And then we kind of just keep rotating through that. And, they keep a tally of how many matches they win, obviously, which I wouldn't expect anything less. And then same thing, libero position. We always told Hayden, like, you're going to go from being a freshman to being the oldest in that position. And she's already super mature for her age, and like very well spoken. And like, you can just see that leadership. And her big thing this year has been about like positively infecting the people around her with her attitude and her effort and her leadership. And that's absolutely what I think she's doing, is you can see her pull a kid aside and be like, hey, I need you to do this. So those leadership things that she's got, like for a sophomore, I'm so impressed and looking forward to seeing her go do big things. And then you have Casey and Jordan, both who are like super athletic and competitive. Like, we don't let a ball drop in practice right now, and it's really fun to see. And so that competition, even between those three, is really tight. And Zach and I talk about it all the time. With I focus mostly on the setters, and he's focusing mostly on the defense and liberos. He wants them all to have that mindset of like, you are the libero until I tell you differently. And I'm the same way with my setters, like, you are the 5-1 setter until I tell you differently. So you got to have that confidence and that big bubble in it. So
yeah, our coaches used to tell us, your goal should be to make the decision as difficult as possible, and if the decision is difficult, then you're probably in a good position as a team. So returning to your seniors, I've been thinking about this class. They've followed a large class last year, and then, a class that was similar in size, but was very decorated, lots of big numbers in the 2019 class. And I feel like this class, when you look at the numbers, they have been extremely strong. Maddie Wingert's one of the most efficient hitters that we've ever had in the NCAA era. Quinn, we know, is just a monster blocking, and Lacey and Tori have both put up big numbers at times as well. But this class as a whole has kind of flown under the radar a little bit. I feel like they're not I don't know. I just feel like they've flown under the radar a little bit. But when you look at the numbers, I mean, they stack up just as well, if not better, than a lot of others. So talk about your senior class, what you expect from them this year, and especially getting the opportunity, like you said, to have them for the whole year.
Absolutely. I mean, first thing I want to touch on the fact that these kids are, I say kids because they're like grown women, right? So Tori is in the middle of student teaching. And so she literally teaches all day long and then comes in to practice. And you have Lacey, who's finishing a very heavy nursing schedule. She's finishing up her got in the mix of all of this. And then you have Maddie, who's doing nonprofit leadership, and she's in an internship and thinking about what she's going to do in the future. And you have Quinn, who's preparing for dental school. And I say that because, oh my goodness, you know, I am so lucky to get to be a part of their journey. As it's just like very big, great stuff that they're doing. And I felt that way about all of our seniors. Is like, I'm just so impressed with what they put on their plates and how they're able to manage it all. So as players, I mean, they have come in more focused than ever. They know, I mean, they missed out on last semester and they're doing everything they can to be prepared for the spring. I do expect really big things from them. And I want to have, you know, all four of them be all conference kids and leave here feeling really good about it. And even if that's not the case, every single one of them is focused on what they're leaving behind. And that's a great place for them to be, is they're really focused on the impact they're making on Cardinal volleyball, on their teammates right now, not just by having big numbers and playing really well, but all the other stuff too. So it kind of makes me emotional because every year I feel this way. I'm like, oh, you know, they have their stuff together. They're responsible. They're doing all the stuff that like we've been preaching for years. And it's just so fun seeing them grow up in that. And yeah, like just, it's exciting. And I'm going to miss them. And I'm so glad we get that extra semester with them. So it's been good.
Yeah, I think that's the bittersweet thing I hear. I've been here, this is my 6th year now, and so I've had a couple of senior classes go all the way through, and it's definitely bittersweet that you're very proud to see them grow up and how mature they are and how ready they are, but at the same time, you want to keep them here, and but yeah, it's about time for them to fly on their own, I guess.
I know.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk volleyball with us. We'll see you again in just a few weeks. Good luck with your last week of high risk period. Hope you enjoy it and get a lot of work in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jalen.
Thank you.